Good morning, everybody. Good morning, incredible interdimensional beings of light. Welcome in to the Buddhist Biohacker, creating conscious content for 1111D. Welcome in. I'm your host, Lisa. Really excited to have you here today. It's 11 o'clock. It's a Tuesday, October 27th, so we can ground into what the heck day it is. It's 2020. I know we're coming up on the election here is creeping in very quickly. And I am really, really honored to have with me a special guest today, Dr. Erica Risberg. If I say this right, I keep saying it wrong. She had me on her show, All Things in the Name of Love, back in, when was that? It was a few months ago. Yeah, August, July, something like that. And it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. You were a wonderful host, and you do wonderful things. And so, welcome to the show, Erica.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's just an honor to have you here, and I just can't wait to dive in. And everybody who's joining in the live, you can always share your comments and questions in the comment boxes. We love that, and we love you. And Erica is also part of our November Awakening event, which you can still register for at oneheartoneearth.net. So with all of that out of the way, Erica, why don't we just start by you just sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I came onto this divine planet in this incarnation believing that there was no separation. I was taught otherwise. So my first example of knowing that I was not separate was when I was around 3. We had a cabin in Connecticut, and I walked into a gaggle of geese. And they were my friends, and they surrounded me, and they were like, we were just communing. And my parents were freaking out because Canadian geese have been known to be aggressive. But they knew that I knew that we were friends. And so we all communed, and my parents were going, Erica, come back, come back, come back. And I finally toddled back, and they're like, don't you ever do that again. And I was like, but they're my friends. Like, I've always seen animals as my friends, especially because I'm very empathic. I grew up, as most humans on the planet, with dysfunctional parents, like to some degree, like everybody's got their things. And they lived in fear. So I repressed myself to fit in. And I did very well at repressing myself. I ended up getting a Ph.D. in history, which is a lot of repression.
Yeah.
History, because I wanted to figure out why there's an other. Like I had this academic quest to figure out what the other was. And I couldn't solve it because it didn't make any sense to me. So then about 3 years after I got my PhD, my dad died. He had pancreatitis and got a staph infection, then was paralyzed for 3 months. And when he left his body, he just went like that across the universe. And that was, I will say, that's my first awakening, because there's several. But I looked at his body, I was like, where's Dad? And Mom's like, that's your father. I'm like, no, that's not Dad, because his soul wasn't in his body. And then when I felt him leave, I was like, okay, and I'm still getting chills about this. It's been 11 years.
Yeah, you're giving me chills talking about it. Oh my God, I can feel him.
I know that I don't know a lot, and he's trying to teach me something. So then I realized that I had completely, I was a popular cultural historian. So I was really numbed out. And so that started me on a quest of like just meditating. And I found Vishen from Mind Valley, and I found a meditation he did. And I did that for 4 or 5 years every day, where I was just forgiving and forgiving and forgiving. I moved from Washington to Portland, and I came across a coach who was infuriated with me because I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with my life, because I had this consulting business and I was doing voiceovers and I couldn't choose. And she's like, why don't you listen to this meditation from this woman named Heather Strang? Like, okay, I don't know who this person is, but she's like, this will help you. I mean, she was infuriated with me because I wasn't making a decision, right? Because I was in the paradigm of a business person. I'd been in academia for 25 years, or I'd spent 25 years in school. And then I was in the corporate world for about 10 years. So like I couldn't fit in, nothing fit in. And she was like, but you need to make a choice. And I'm like, but that's not me. Oh, she's saying she's having trouble hearing me. Let me see if I can boost that up a little more.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Okay. Better?
Yeah, that's louder. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So she's like just ready to throw her hands up in the air and just go listen to Christian. So I listen to Christian, then I'm like, wait a minute, I like this woman. She resonates with me. And so I started taking some of her classes that she had. And then about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I think I started doing one-on-one sessions with her. She does a modality. Well, she uses the modality body talk, and then she brings in her spirit team that makes it a whole different thing than just body talk. And she's able to get into deep soul callings, karmic stuff, deactivating past lifetimes, all trauma stuff. And so I didn't realize this when I started working with her. I had a lot of stuff to clear. And so knowing that I could never fit, I never understood the third dimensional understandings of life. Like why it exists, like what's the separation, what's the fear, what's the division, why am I separate from some, like I'm how I just looked up one of the cats I'm house sitting with, just watching me like, you're understanding this, there is no separation. So funny. So about 3 years ago, my team said, Erica, do a podcast. I was like, what podcast? But I, like in my background, I'd done oral histories. I learned how to conduct interviews. I know sound because I've been doing voiceovers for about 11 years. And they're like, use those skills to do a podcast. I'm like, what do you mean podcast? And so I recorded myself with these great extemporaneous thoughts. And I sent them to my friend Angela. That's my podcast. There you go. And then 2 years ago, they're like, no, we meant it. You're doing a podcast. I'm like, so they showed me how to get on iTunes, Apple iTunes, and all the other things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a spiritual podcast. Oh my gosh, it's terrifying because, you have that fear, which I've worked through clearly. But like at the time, I was like, I'm going to be judged.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in being a spiritual person. I'm just a spiritual, I'm curious. So my podcast came out last April 2019. Yeah, I finally released it April 2019. And what I realized after my first 4 episodes is I could interview people. And then I was like, oh my gosh, then I can actually learn about their spiritual journeys. So if I'm curious about spiritual journeys, maybe I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And so that has been something in my life for the past year and a half. And then 2020 hit, and oh my gosh, like what is among the many things that has happened is I have ended a 16-year relationship. I've moved in with my mom. I have, in July, I was by myself, and all of a sudden my team said, start an apothecary and take body talk access for cats, or animals rather. And I'm going, what are these things? Like I had, I dabbled with essential oils for 3 years and I thought it was fun. And like, no, you're going to be ordering a whole bunch of stuff and start making things. Like, well, I don't want to have like a company that's like making products for sale. And they're like, no, you're not. You're going to be doing individual orders based on what somebody asks you to do. You're going to be doing that. I'm like, okay, that feels aligned. And then Spirit downloads recipes into me and I write them down because I don't know what I'm doing. This is not me. And so I write them down, and then I co-create with them whatever it is that the person is asking for. And so that's 2020. Like, I thought I was an historian. I thought I was a voiceover talent. I'm not that. I don't recognize who I was. And I know I'm still growing. So when I was called to do, I'd done Body Talk Access for about 3 months of myself. I took an online course and learned it on myself. When I took the Body Talk class for animals online, the woman who taught it was in Ireland. I
love that.
I had to be awake at 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, Wired. I keep hearing that my audio is
I know. I think it's better, but.
All right, I'll lean in more.
There you go. That is actually much louder. So.
All right. Okay. So, so I'm on Zoom, 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, and learning from this woman in Ireland about how to do access for animals. And so it's a form of body talk where I just do tapping. So it's like I tap head and heart, next level of harmony so it's a system. I'm just giving that as an example. And thank you, Carrie. And so I'm fascinated by this because I know it works really well on me, and like, how is it going to work on animals? So the third day of the class, she has me work on a dog in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
The owner, the human that lives with the dog, because there's no ownership anymore.
Yeah.
He can't call into Zoom. He calls on FaceTime, turns the phone to her, and I start talking to her because I want to develop a relationship. She's a 2-year-old German Shepherd who's got insecurity issues. That's all I know. I do the whole practice. She goes from running around to deep sleep.
Oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Ireland, 3,000 miles to the East Coast. Like, I'm thinking there's this perception that there's a degree of separation, but there is none.
Yeah.
So she's like 8,000 miles away from me, and she felt me.
And
I'm going, oh my gosh. And I get like kid-like excited when I help an animal. It's not my ego. It's so not my ego. But like, I go, yay! And they're like, what? I'm like, I helped someone. And so I know that's spirit led. I know that's not the ego of me, because the ego of me is saying, Erica, you don't have like 20 years of experience working with animals. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If this is my soul calling, this is what I have to do. So that's what I've been leaning into more and more of this year, is it doesn't matter what and I've had people say, what's your background? I'm like, it's not going to make sense.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how the universe, or the multiverse, really, I don't even think I can say universe anymore, the multiverse, consciousness, whatever, creator, just brings, it's like everything we did in the linear somehow gave us the skills to do what we're doing now. And for me, I equate it to, I studied opera for 8 years, all through like 6th grade up. And that taught me how to breathe.
Yeah.
And I went to culinary school and got a culinary degree. And then, 10 years after that degree, I find out I have 22 food allergies. So but I knew how to cook. So I was able to take that and really use those skills to learn to cook and to create things differently. So it's just, when you talk about, you did voiceovers, and then you create your podcast, right? your love for the earth, all these things. Like, it's amazing how these past experiences in the linear bring us into this 5D reality where we're doing what we were doing, but in this very aligned way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've noticed how much more things are coming through. I was telling you before we started recording, I've been a manager for community garden for 2 years in Portland, and last week was a cleanup. And I had this celery that I had grown from the refrigerator. Like, I cut the bottom off and I put it in water, and it just exploded. It became like about 2.5 feet tall and about a foot wide. It was huge celery. And I dug it up because we're supposed to clean the garden out. And celery said, "You're not eating me." Like, wait a minute, celery is talking to me now? And it's not like there's a conversation going on. It's the energy I felt. It's like celery's not all of a sudden developing a voice, but celery energetically is saying, I am not getting eaten. Okay, so I dig it up and I put it in a pot. And unfortunately, Portland's been in the 30s for the past 2 days, so it's flopped over. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But I mean, the fact that I felt its consciousness is amazing. And so I'm trying to realize that initial understanding that I'm connected with the geese, I'm connected with all, is who I am. And peeling off the layers of what I think I am back to who I really am is fascinating.
I think it's amazing. What are some of the things that you're doing? Because I know that you are consistently refining your spiritual practice, which I can't accentuate enough for everyone, that this is the time to refine your spiritual practices. But what are you doing to stay connected? Because you were, I hope it's okay to say, but like, you were in Portland. I mean, this is like, there's serious things happening there. So
I'm one of the only light workers in Portland right now. It is intense.
I can't even imagine.
I still want to hightail it out of here. I can't even tell you. Like, please, Source, let me go, please. So what I do constantly is, so I do this practice. I'll tap it. So this hand goes at the base of my head. What's next highest level of inner peace and harmony for my body, mind in this moment? And it's a practice called cortices. And I just do that. I'm going to do it because I started it. Sorry, bro. And what it does, so cortices taps into your left and right brain, and it brings harmony into you. So you can actually calm down when you're in a state of stress. And I got to tell you, like, there's a lot of subliminal stress going on in my life right now because I live in Portland. So that is a go-to. I do Body Talk Access, which is a whole system 2 or 3 times a day. I've upped my meditation to 2 or 3 times a day. Like, I don't set a timer or anything. I just meditate and I feel my energy increasing. I pray once or twice a day for Portland, asking that only the highest light comes in because it needs it, because it's really dark right now. And I drink a lot of rasa.
Yeah.
Ashwagandha.
Yes. I have a big, huge bag myself. It's like the Ayurveda weed. It's like, this is because, yeah.
It's like, and it's so, but I mean, I have the awareness to know that, like, I'm holding space for a 1,000,000-person city. And when I walk out, I have a pass that, her name, Heather Christian, now what we call her, she made for people, about masks. Cause it's not in alignment for me to wear a mask, and I'm in a pretty decent sized city. So how does that look for me? Sometimes I actually have to compromise a little. don't like that, but I like my almond milk. I have gone to the Portland farmers market at Portland State University with the pass on and just walked and said I'm invisible, and anybody that I'm not talking to doesn't see me, because I'm trying to hold the light. I'm trying to hold, like, I'm trying to be authentic to myself and what feels right to me in a city that is really oppressive. So that's a great spiritual lesson for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really incredible growth. It's a little I don't want to say overwhelming because it's not overwhelming, but it's a lot. It just because there's so much fear. I mean, I'm 3 blocks away from 2 homeless camps,
Mm.
and they're pervasive. And so, how do I hold space for them? How do I hold space for me? I know I'm safe because I know that I'm loved. I am loved. Whatever happens to my beautiful body, I am love. So I have to hold that space, and I have to regularly come back into it because it's so important at this time in consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm trying to think of what I want to say, but I don't know. You said it so perfectly. I don't really need to say anything else. Let's talk about your mission to be off electronics, because that is, I just shared yesterday, like, this is my vision for the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, like, we're on electronics right now, and this is how my platform is all electronic.
Right.
So there's a higher level need for the technology and the virtual piece. And one of the messages I got from the collective actually for the month of November is that there's going to be this release of new technology and this virtual lift and some AI stuff coming out. So it's actually kind of interesting because that message just was like this random one-off in my transmission from like all the other messages. And so I've been sitting with that because I thought, well, that's very interesting. You know, we're meant, and Mercury, the planet this year, the way that it's lined up, and I'm not an astrologer, but from what I've read and understand, it's in a place where Mercury's really pushed us forward. Like,
Oh, cool.
I know for myself, like, this is actually what my soul purpose was to, you know, the planet Mercury like holds the house for my soul purpose. And I wasn't doing this kind of communication. So obviously this global event has pushed us forward technically and in technology. However, there's still a need to remove yourself from the narrative and be in the planet, on the earth, however you want to say it. And so I know you've been on this mission to like remove the electronics, and it feels so good. Like I did it this weekend. I actually went and cycled like 20 miles on Saturday. It was so good. Oh my God, it was so nice before the snow, of course, because we got snow in Colorado. But I just left my phone at home and I was gone for the day, and it did not matter. And it was so nice. So it's an active focus for me too.
Yeah, like I before when I took this house sitting, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a digital detox, and it hasn't completely worked because clearly I'm on with you, but like an hour a day, and that's it. And I've had one day where I haven't turned anything on at all. And what I've noticed is my vibration is raising directly because I'm not using the technology. And I was like, okay, well, I know I'm super sensitive. Like, I can't hold my phone for any period of time because I just start getting wonky. And I even have a safe sleeve and it still doesn't work for me because I'm so sensitive to it. So like, how can I be in a space where I'm not relying upon technology, and yet like when I do body talk for somebody in Ireland, I'm going to have to be on. So that's a constant struggle of like, what's the balance? But like when I know I'm in my sweet spot is when I'm connecting with the animal, because I'm looking at Sebastian again. I'm looking at the animal and knowing that the animal's feeling my energy above whatever the technology that I'm using is at. And then when I'm working in my apothecary, I'm like, I'm so old school. Like I have a double boiler and I mix stuff and I handwrite recipes down. I have like card catalog, like little card catalog things, and I have each client's address on, because that feels super aligned for me, because it brings me back into that, what was it like before I had a computer. And that feels so good because
Mm.
that's really what my soul wants. And I was guided, I haven't successfully done it yet, but I was guided that I'm supposed to be out 3 hours a day outside,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I just got a new jacket. More layers. Like, because I know that that really is what my soul needs.
Hmm. Yeah, nature is more important than ever. And it's funny because all these memories have been coming back about my childhood. Have you been experiencing that? There's like this weird, like, it's like recapitulation, but it's like to the nth degree. It's like all these things are coming back. And I was outside endlessly. I mean, if
Yeah.
it was winter, I didn't care. I would go and I'd sit out. I always had my journals. I'd be sitting in the trees, like going outside, riding my bike, like walking, ice skating. Like I was always outside, and I get really agitated here if I don't go outside. Like, so I'm with you with the 3 hours a day. And I actually, on a good day, I'm outside at least 3 hours, I would say, and probably 4 days a week, to be honest and fair about it. But so I'm with you with the outside. We get more information from the energy of Mother Earth and what she has to tell us than you're ever going to get turning on the news, because it's really about what's happening with the planet and the trees and the birds and the animals. And, the animals come to you. I'm curious what your favorite animal totems are. What kind of animals come to you when you're out in nature? I'd love to hear about that.
Hummingbirds.
Oh my God, hummingbirds. This is like the fifth time someone's talked about hummingbirds this week. Isn't that crazy? Since like last Thursday.
Yeah, like my garden, I had a trellis for whatever I wanted to grow on. It was supposed to be beans, but that didn't work out so well. So it's like my gladiolas liked it. Anyway, so like I go in to the garden plot, and invariably I'd have one or two hummingbirds come in every single time. It's like, this is really fascinating. Um, because they're such beings of light to me.
Mm-hmm.
The other, it's not an animal totem, but the other being that really grounded me was I've been told her name is Grandmother Cedar. That's how I refer to her. She's this ancient, huge cedar at my garden, and she's got a whole grove that she populated, and she has given me such profound wisdom just by sitting under her and meditating.
Mm.
And so when I tune in and slow myself down, like I don't have any one. Well, okay, otters. I love otters, but I don't really see otters
Mm.
very much. But like when it comes to animals, it's more like, how do I resonate with them as sentient beings?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually sit and study the personalities. Like the one I'm sitting with now, my mom's got 3 feral cats,
Oh
and
wow.
they're 22. It's been really exciting.
Wow.
And so I've done body talk on them or access on them because I have to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
They're to the point now where, and 22 years of being feral, I had to do multiple sessions. And so they come up to me now and they ask to be pet. They'll play with me. They won't sit on me yet. But like that's 22 years versus like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this does work. It really does work. And I'm so grateful that I am slowing myself down enough to see their divinity,
Mm.
because that's what it is. Like I'm plant based. I don't even know after this week with celery, but like, but I'm really honoring the souls of everyone. And it's this unwinding of all of the programming of separation. I always knew when I was little, when I looked in a cow's eyes, I felt their souls. And then I ate them and I didn't even like make the connection. And it's like, oh my gosh, what did I just do that caused harm to another?
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years ago I took a vow of peace because I was sick of the violence of my cultural historian life. And I took out the books and the music and the movies. I didn't know what to read for about 6 weeks, but like I did that because I got so overwhelmed with our society,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so toxic for my soul and probably for lots of people's souls. And then as I got into it, it's like, okay, so what kind of violence am I doing? So I have 3 TerraCycle boxes now. So I don't have to choke dolphins with my plastic. Which is
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, I'm going to hurt a dolphin, or I'm going to hurt a fish, or I'm going to hurt a shrimp. I'm going to hurt somebody that is just bebopping along. And because of my negligence, they're going to be eating something that's not healthy for them. And then if I eat them, it's going to be unhealthy for me. So, like, I'm in charge of changing my behavior to help others. And it's gotten really simultaneously fascinating and challenging, because it's like, okay, now I have to figure out who I support for my food, who I support for my clothes, who I support for like pretty much everything. And I know when it's not in alignment anymore. And it's amazing to see how we've been conditioned to not think of all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the interdependence is something that I think is being brought to consciousness more for the collective of humanity this year
Yeah.
than ever before. I mean, His Holiness would talk about interdependence every talk, year after year, all the time. And when you get it, when you really get it, and you see how everything is woven together and interacts with each other, and you, in order to have this, you have to have that. Like, it's all interconnected. Once you get that, it changes everything.
Oh yeah, it so does. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's like one of the things, I don't know why this just popped in, but one of the things that's been fascinating to me is to see how the masks have separated us. And I'm reading this really hokey book series called the Atlantean series by Samuel Sagan.
Okay.
And one of the characters is awakening. And it's a fascinating process because it's the end of the culture. I mean, it's so relevant to what it was written in 1999. But so this character is just awakening and awakening, and he's like watching all these other people who are just living lives by rote, and they're not actually experiencing their emotions. And that's what I'm seeing right now. And it's just like, I'm watching this really strange movie. I'm wondering if oh, what was that one with Keanu Reeves that was redone? The End of the World, the day that the day the earth stood still.
Oh, okay.
Um, because like we're so connected to our addictions that in some ways I think the only way that's going to stop is like if there's this big and then we have to like, oh, what does life look like when we have to grow our own food, or when we have to work with others and see the divinity in others? How's that going to look? And I'm excited because I see animals walking up to me and like, hey, I was walking the other day with one of my friends, and this dog saw me and was practically jumping to say hi to me.
Aw.
And I didn't even notice the owners again, like such a term, the humans. So I just bond with the dog and talk to the dog, and the dog gets pet and everything. And then I finally look up and the owners are looking at me like, you didn't ask permission. I'm like, yeah, I did. I didn't, like, the dog gave me permission. I didn't have to ask your permission for it. I did a couple weeks ago. I asked the owner if I could pet the dog, and the dog was like, you didn't ask me. I'm like, oh, okay. And she barked at me because I didn't ask her. So, like, they know that I'm on a different level of consciousness than most humans. And so they expect me to understand what how I approach them. Like it's not like a, oh, can I pet your dog anymore? No, that doesn't work for me.
How did you, so you, how long have you been doing the body talks for the animals? You said just a short time, yeah?
Like 3 months.
Wow, that's
But it's so aligned. It's like, oh, this is what I was supposed to do. Forget that PhD, forget the voiceovers. I mean, I'm still doing voiceovers, but like, forget all that. This is what's aligned now. Okay.
I think it's amazing. Well, and you have a body talk presentation for the summit for the global event,
Yeah.
The Awakening in November. I'm trying not to call it a summit because I'm sick of summits. I don't know about everybody else, but anyway, there's a lot of them these days. But is there anything you want to share about that presentation, or
it's actually a full session of body talk for animals, and I wanted to give a sense of it because it's. And I had somebody reach out to me. She was like, "What is this thing?" And I'm like, "How do I even describe it? Because it is an energetic frequency, and it's a modality where I don't touch the animal, but I am the conduit to bring the healing out to the animal. So it's energy. My intention is that they get the highest level of inner peace and alignment for their bodies. And I just look at the animal and I just tap the system that I've learned. And I don't know it, because I've set the intention for this with a video. So, but I haven't had the relationship with the animals. So it will help, but I'm not sure how much it will help. The intention is it will help the animals that watch. And the animals have to be in the room to receive the benefit. Anyone will receive the benefit of body talk access because it does bring greater harmony and peace to your body. I have more flexibility than I've ever had. I sleep better. Like there's so many benefits, but for animals specifically, I was drawn to this modality because so many animals take on the energy of their humans, and they don't, they think that's their role. And it's like, how can I bring you into greater harmony because you are a sentient being? And so I'm helping them to see that they're more than the humans have treated them as, because I think that's such an important part in our evolution, is recognizing that we all coexist. And it's not like you're my cat or you're my dog or come over here and sit by me or I'm going to pet you now, or inadvertently, like I've scared my mom's cat a couple times because I've walked into the kitchen when she's eating and she's like, no, you can't come into the kitchen because I'm eating. So like recognizing that I have to understand her boundaries because she hasn't had her boundaries respected before. It's like I'm empowering her, and she's able to be who she is more, which is really cool to watch.
Yeah. Well, and you're so right about animals taking on. I had a basset hound, Max, and he was my baby, just my baby. Oh gosh, he was my baby. Still comes sometimes. Every once in a while, I can hear his little collar bell around the house and hear his little noises. But he passed away 12 years ago now. It's a long time. But anyways, he was an incredible healer. We had an incredible telepathic connection. He was just a joy. And when I would work with my clients at my office, because at that time, people came to my office and sat down and we had a conversation and did readings, and he would lay in the room the whole time and he was healing. And of course he ended up with lymphoma because he was healing. I'm sure that's a big part of it, so I'll never forget that because I actually had this vision that he was going to leave, and then 2 weeks later he was sick. So it was just a really challenging time for sure. But to your point, animals just take on this healing energy. And I'm curious what you think about, I've heard that part of the age of Aquarius, part of this shifting into a different reality, into the 5D, if you want to use that terminology. Really, it's the fourth density. So as we're shifting into this fourth density as a planet, what I've heard is that the animal kingdom has been holding the heart chakra. They've been holding the energy of compassion, and that they're actually handing it to us. They're giving it back to us and saying, it's your turn as a human race to take on this heart center and this compassion. And I'm curious what you think about that, or if you've heard anything about that, or what you feel.
I haven't, but I just got chills.
Me too. I mean, me too. Just talking about it.
Yeah, my heart chakra just expanded because they've been the ones holding space for us. And my sense is they're tired of it. Like, come on, humans, wake up. Because, come on, humans, wake up. And yeah, I mean, they've been, I have a dog that I walk for a friend of mine. His name is Blue. And he's Australian cattle dog golden retriever mix. Blue is my love guru.
Oh.
And the humans are like, oh, yeah. I'm like, no, but he loves everyone. He wants to make contact with every being he encounters because he wants to give them love. I mean, he likes to receive love too, but like the energy that he's giving is love. How do I learn from him? How do I show up in the world the way Blue shows up? Because he's teaching me. And most humans seeing Blue are like, oh, he's just a really friendly dog. I'm like, no, he is. And he's teaching me to see with my heart, not with my eyes. So yeah, I mean, the animals totally, they're the experts in empathy and compassion. I twisted my ankle a few months ago on a trail that I walked, Blue and his companion Denny, and I ended up doing a system called Fast Aid, which is part of Access, and it's just like focusing on one area of your body to heal it. And Denny watched me. She's doing something. I want to figure out what she's doing. And then a couple of weeks later, he walked up, and I'd just taken the animal access class, and there's something called an SB joint, which is your third eye and right under your chin, and it gets to your pineal gland, and it works really well on animals. And he walked up to me and he went like this.
Oh, wow.
What, buddy? And he's like, and so I tapped it, and then he laid down and went to sleep. This is so amazing because you're a dog, and he's not. He's a sentient being sitting in the body of a dog, but he knows what he wants. And so, like, the animals are telling us. The animals totally show us the way if we choose to slow down enough to listen.
Yep. I agree, because it's the subtle energies, And I think so telepathic communication with animals is so easy. And I used to teach this class. Oh my God, this makes me giggle because in this particular climate, it's just not possible. But I used to teach a class at the Denver Zoo, and I do it once every summer. I did it like 4 years in a row, where I would bring students out and we would go to the zoo and we would talk to animals and just practice telepathic communication with animals. And it was so fun. I haven't thought about that in the longest time. But
I love that so much.
Yeah, like the telepathic communication with animals is so easy. Like, you send them pictures, they send you pictures, and the back and forth, it's actually so easeful because they're very open. They're very empathic. They're very psychic. Animals are so, so open.
Yeah, they are. I was actually, a few months ago, I was given a dream where I was going to be volunteering at the Oregon Humane Society, not the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Humane Society, just to help, right before adoption. I've been in the Humane Society, and it's like, oh, this energy is so depressing because these poor animals are scared. They don't know they're in cages, right? Somebody dropped them off and somebody's going to pick them up. How would you feel if you were a human doing that? And so, like, I'm being called and I've reached out to them. I have to follow up. Like, can I come by once a week and just do access for the animals? so that when they get adopted, they won't have the issues. They won't have the, I'm going to pee all over the place, or I'm going to chew up your socks, or whatever it is, because they're going to be in alignment with themselves.
That's beautiful. Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah, because it just feels like they need it.
They do. I have the best story for you because I just got a kitty
Yeah.
4 weeks ago. And it's the best story because I dreamt about her. I dreamt about this little black and white kitty. And I was like, I woke up in the morning, I'm like, I think I'm going to get a kitty. And by the way, I haven't had an animal since Max passed away, essentially, is what happened. So Max passed away.
Okay.
And I got divorced at the same time. And so my other dog and cat that I loved so much, my ex-husband took those. And so it was really difficult. I was by myself, and I know I was meant to be.
Yeah.
And so I haven't had an animal. I had a brief stint with a cat, and that's in my book because that was my mold journey with that cat. So anyways, so it's been a really long time since I've had a pet. So I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a kitty. Like, I'm going to get it. I told my husband, I said, I'm going to get a kitty. My husband's like, what are you talking about? I said, no, really, I'm going to get this kitty. Well, I went online to the Denver Dumb Friends League, which is our humane society here in Denver. Sure enough, she was right there, this kitty. And I applied and I got her and I picked her up and we have her, and she's so sweet and cute and wonderful. But what amazes me, even now, it's only been 4 weeks, is she came to me in a dream and told me to come get her.
Yeah.
Like, this is how incredible animals are and how spiritual and how psychic. And I don't feel like she's a pet in this life that's passed for me. So I feel like she's a new energy to me in this life anyways. But it just fascinates me because I'm like, and I've never, just like you're talking about, I've rescued animals. My Basset Hound was rescued. My other dog and cat were rescued. This kitty's rescued. And they do have these challenges because they were rescued, and it takes work and time and energy work. Like you're saying, you have to really communicate with them and connect with them and let them know they're safe. This kitty came here to our house. Like, I picked her up, I got her. They had her in a box. It was so awful. So I took her out of the box and I let her sit in my lap on the way home. And she was just sitting in my lap. And we got to the house and she was like, I'm at my house. There was no transition, Erica. It was crazy. There was no transition. We have 4 kids. Didn't care. No transition at all. She was like, I am home. She knew where she was. You know how cats kind of creep around, they're kind of nervous? None of that. She was she knew where she was. She knew who we were. She knew that this was where she was supposed to be. I mean, it's really wild to me because this is the power of animals and how psychic and empathic they are. She knew she wanted to come here. This is where she decided to go. And she just knew where she was supposed to be. It was really amazing. Isn't that amazing?
I love that so much. I love that because that's the gift they give us. We have this perception that we choose them.
Mm-hmm.
No, we don't. Mm-hmm. I used to think that. But no, it's a co-creation. And tuning into that, I didn't choose my mom's cats. Did not choose my mom's cats. And they're helping me hone my skills so that I can help other animals. So it's a blessing, even though they're them.
Mm-hmm.
They're still feral cats, and I want to bring them to a place before they transition, because they're 22, into greater peace and harmony, because that's what they need.
Mm-hmm.
What we all need. If every person on the planet did access twice a day, this would be a completely different planet.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I want to give you some space. Time flies in here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I know. I want to give you some space to really share how folks can connect in with you, what's accessible to them. Obviously, Erica's information is going across the screen. It's in the show notes and all those things. But I also want to give space for you to share a little bit about, what are you up to and what do you want to share with people?
So I'm technically challenged. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm really good at doing audio stuff, but I'm not really good at doing websites. But I have bought the domain for All of Apothecary, and it's for my apothecary and access. Right now, the easiest way you can get in touch with me if you're interested in an access session for your animal is by email, which is Erica, ERICA .l.Risberg, RIS as in Sam, B as in boy, ERG @protonmail.com. And I have packages, I have one-offs, I have 3 sessions, I have 6 sessions. And with my apothecary right now, I'm on Etsy. I don't have all my products there because I don't have a lot of products because I do individual healing. Like you tell me, and it literally is downloaded into me. However, if you want to reach me there, you're more than welcome to see what I have online, or you can contact me on my email again or on Instagram. And I'm happy to work with you because I think it's really important. If you have an animal that's stressed out or acting in ways that seem out of alignment for them, then I can help them.
I love it.
And if you want like a certain hair product, well, not so much hair product, but like pre-soak oil treatment for your bath, I have that. So, yeah.
I love it so much. And Erica is also part of the One Heart, One Earth Global Awakening in November 2020. And we have a very good surprise for everyone tomorrow morning. So if you have not yet registered, go to oneheartoneearth.net. And it's free to register. It's free to participate. It's completely free. We are holding the vibration from November 1st to the 14th. And we have an early access surprise coming out tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited about that. We have 34 presentations pre-recorded for you to watch and connect in with, and Erica's one of them. With her Body Talk Access for Animals. And then we have 51 hours of live shows on Buddhist Biohacker. Really just everybody's participating and it's going to be so fun. And we're really just holding the vibration for the planet, which is awesome. We also have these gold ribbons. So you guys have seen probably all over social media. Our little gold ribbon, and there's a t-shirt too. But we have these gold ribbons, and these are for nonviolence because I took a stand as Buddhist Biohacker against violence. Back in May, I actually had a lucid dream with Gandhi of all things, and it just really brought me to this place where we want to share compassion and nonviolence. So we're starting a movement with these gold ribbons. So for everybody who's watching right now, if you want me to mail you a gold ribbon, you can email me your address, mail@lisamgunshore.com. So just mail@lisamgunshore.com. If you go to my website through the links here, you'll find the contact page. But you can send me your address and your name, and I will send you one of these ribbons. I have 200 of them and can always get more. And we're going to be wearing these every day, all the time. So that is something that's going on as well. And I know that Erica and I are both passionate about nonviolence, compassion, interdependence, peace, all those good words and good things. So that's exciting too. And I just love you, Erica. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
I love you too, Lisa, and I'm so grateful that you held space for me.
You just have so many gifts. I've got to get on the apothecary bandwagon because I'd really love to partake in that. And what are your parting words of wisdom? What would you like to share with everyone today?
I want you to tune in to where you're at and love yourself. Just love yourself because you're divine. I love you and I'm blessing you with so much inner peace and love.
It's amazing. The light actually changed when you did that in the screen. So it's so cool.
I felt it coming through me.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Erica, for being here. Thank you to everybody who's watching, who's a part of our community. We are coming up on the 2 biggest weeks of the entire year for Buddhist Biohacker and the entire community for One Heart, One Earth, and just everything that we've built together. It's been all of us and all of you, and it's just a wonderful, incredible way to close out the year and to hold space on the planet during the election here in the United States. I laughed when the collective told me those were the dates of our next event, because they love to pick the hardest times. And, you know, there's going to be a lot, I think, of unrest and things happening across our United States and directly impacting the earth as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And just thank you so much, and so much love to you, and so much love to everybody out there. We are back. We actually have lots of shows this week. We are back tomorrow with Steve Noble from the Soul Matrix, which I love, love, love his YouTube channel. So if you guys have not heard of Steve Noble, you have to go check it out, Nobel. Thursday, we're back with Donnie Dust talking about the ancient earth, which I'm pretty excited about as well. And Friday, we have Patrick back from Big Seance talking about paranormal communication, which is exciting. And then Saturday, Marlena and I are doing a very special Samhain Halloween tarot readings live. So we have a fun, fun week. And Erica, I will see you in 2 weeks, because you're going to be back here live with me for our November Awakening.
So awesome. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Have an amazing day. Bye.